Alright, got another video for you. This video we are taking a look at our banana toss challenge. If I push play, it says, "What up gamer? Welcome to the banana toss challenge." George is practicing his banana tossing skill. He is trying to throw the bananas into the barrels. Program the barrel to change the color of their font based on how many bananas they hold. Let's go gamer. Alright. So what happens there is, oh, dang, that banana hit him right in the head. Okay, anyway, so he throws the bananas. If he lands them in the buckets, they will count how many bananas have landed in the buckets, like so. 1, 2, 0. If you add up all these numbers, that's going to be equal to the number up here at the top. So he's made a total of 3 points, and this bucket has 3 of the points. This bucket has 1. And if George here accidentally hits himself with a banana, he gets knocked out for a couple seconds. But anyway. Alright, so what are we supposed to do? We need to make it where the color of these numbers on the barrels change based on some rules. So let's go take a look at the rules here. So if you look at the barrel, all 3 barrels have the same code. So let's take a look at this code. And right here is where we're going to be writing our script to change the color. And right here are the rules as well. These are the rules in order from most important to least important. So if the score is divisible by 5, the color should be blue. If the score is 4, the color should be red. If the score is greater than 1/2 of the global banana points, the color should be purple. If the score is your age, it should be pink. If the square root of the score is a whole number, the color should be green. If the score times 2 is greater than 14, the color should be silver. And then finally, if none of the rules match, the color should be yellow. Alright, let's take a look at how we actually color the fonts. So right here, there's a little script. And if I copy this and put this into my ready function, you'll see that when I play this, it's going to color all the fonts pink to start with. Alright, so that is how you actually change the color right there. It goes to the label and sets the font color to a color. And right there, we have the different colors: red, green, blue, silver, purple, pink, yellow. Alright, so let's look over a couple rules, or a couple of tools that you're going to need to make this. Okay, so in my edition of this, it's a little bit different than yours, but some things you're going to need to know is you're going to need to know how to find out if something is divisible by something else. So what you can do is you can do print, and then you could take a number. Let me make a number here. We'll say var test num, and I will start off with, let's do 5. So I can print out test num divided by 5. That's going to go to this number, and it's going to divide it by 5. So if I run that, you should see it 3 times because there's 3 barrels. But so the answer to 5 divided by 5 is obviously 1. Well, in order to know if a number is divisible by something, you want to know how many if there's a remainder or not. So you can divide like that, but there's also something else you can do, and that is called modulus. So test num modulus 5. This is the same as dividing, except for it gives the remainder. This returns the remainder. This is just regular division. Okay, so you saw when I did it the first time, test number, so 5 divided by 5 was 1. Let's do this again. the same number, 5 modulus 5, that's going to return the remainder. So let's look at that. 0. So if let's say the number was, instead of that, it was 8. So 8 modulus 5, that would have a remainder of 3 left over, because it can go into it one time evenly and then 3 left over. So if we run this, you're going to see that it says 3. All right, so this returns the remainder. This is going to be useful for you. All right, the next thing that you're going to need to know how to do, let's see here. We can do some math inside. You can do math inside of your conditional statements as well. So you could say if test num times, let's say 5, and then what I like to do is I like to keep these in quotes right here. So whatever the operation is that I'm doing, I'll put it in parentheses, and then I could say greater than 50, print this is greater than 50. All right, so the conditional statement I just made says that test num times 5 is greater than 50. So 8 times 5 is 40, so this is not going to work. So 8 times 5 would be 40. That's not greater than 50. So you should see it won't do that. But if I did 11 times 5 is 55. So this is greater than 50. This is greater than 50. All right. There's something else you're going to need. Let me see. What else might you need? Looks like you're also going to need to know how to use the square root function. So let's see if we can figure out how to do the square root. Let me comment this one out. I'm going to leave it there for you to look at. Let's find the square root of a number. So the square root, let's say I have 16. That should be 4. Let's see if we can figure out how to do that. So we can say print square root of test num. So a square root is, square roots are, for example, the square root of 25 would be 5. The square root of 36 would be 6. It's a number that that multiplies by itself to equal a certain number. So let's say, let me put this. The square root of test num is, okay, so what that's going to do is it's going to make a whole sentence for us. So the square root of 16 is, and then let's see what this does for us. 4. Maybe I shouldn't have used a hyphen. Maybe I should have used a set of colons. That would probably be nicer looking. All right, now remember this thing is still printed out 3 times because there's 3 barrels on the screen, so all 3 barrels are doing the exact same thing. All right, so it says the square root of 16 is 4. All right, so now if I wanted to find the square root of, let's say, 25, so it would, so this one would be 4 times 4 is 16. So the square root of 25, if we do this again, the square root of 25 is 5. So there's another thing you can use. Now, if the number is not so pretty, you know, so like instead of 25, if you did something like 24, there's not a number that you can just multiply real easily like that, no whole number. So it's got a decimal here. So the last thing you're going to need to know is how to check to see if something is a whole number or if it's an integer. An integer would be a whole number, correct? So let's see. This is a whole number, so I will say print test num dot, actually, you know what, I think Let me see if you can do it. Let me see if I can remember how to do this. Okay, so it's like, let's do if test or type of, and then test num. Now what this does is it finds the type, whatever this type is, it's going to put it inside of there. So test num, it's going to figure out what type that is. If it's equal to type, oops, and then it should even have int. Print, this is an integer. Alright, so if this number, it's what it's going to do, it's going to figure out what type it is, and if it is a type of an integer, it's going to say this is an integer. So I could also say elif type of test num is equal to type float. Does it have float? Maybe it doesn't have float. Let's see. We might be getting an error on this one. This is a float. Type float isn't declared. Let's see what other types they have. They have real. They have string. I guess real would be it. I don't know. Whatever. You can check to see if it's an integer or not. This is a real number. Okay, so 24 is an integer, so it should return back this is an integer. Let's see if we can make it into a float. Does it do the other one? So okay, so now that's not an integer anymore, so this one should not print. I don't know if this one's gonna print. Let's find out. Yeah, it does. So I guess it's a real number if it's a float. Okay, so now we can figure out if it's an integer or not. So you can say like this: 2 is an integer, and it returns is an integer. All right, so I think that's everything you're going to need in order to do this assignment. In the next one, I will actually go through and do all of it. All right, see you guys in the next video.